First part of the state capture report has revealed that the South African Revenue Service was dismantled under former President Jacob Zuma and the former SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane. The report further states that under Moyane's leadership, SARS was systemically and deliberately weakened. For more reaction on this, then, let's speak to the current Commissioner, Kieswetter. Commissioner, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. So, before the release of this report by the State Capture Inquiry, there was the Nugent inquiry, which dealt specifically with governance issues at SARS, and even that inquiry found defects in the functioning of the Revenue Service. How much of what came from that has since been implemented?
Well, I think, first of all, Timbukile, thank you for the opportunity. I think the Nugent Commission was a detailed expression of what was found and contributed towards the erosion of governance and integrity as well as the capability of SARS. That report left us with 27 recommendations, most of which have been implemented. There are still those that Treasury has to recommend, which has to implement, which is in relation to the governance of SARS. Most of what was directed at us have been implemented, with about 3 or 4 that is in its final stages. I think, though, that the important and sobering message that the Zondo Commission report brings home is not necessarily to repeat what Nugent found, but to demonstrate that SARS was not just one of the entities that was captured, but that the capture of SARS was central to the entire capture of government. And that's the sobering revelation, that in addition to confirming and re-expressing what Nugent found, what the Zondo Commission underlines for us through its issue.
How then can the Revenue Service be protected from a repeat of such a scenario where there's a president and a commissioner who are responsible essentially for its destruction, even long after you have gone?
That's a really, really important question. And of course, one of the important recommendations that comes both out of Nugent as well as of Zondo is that the appointment process of a commissioner of SARS must be a process that is driven independently and unhindered by politics or political motives, and really aim at appointing a person who is genuinely competent and have the integrity that is required for such an important role in our democracy. That is an important recommendation, and I have to say the appointment of myself as the Commissioner followed such a process, which was done by an independent panel, which then made a recommendation finally to the Minister of Finance and the President. However, there is no policy and no regulation that can protect us from ourselves. So ultimately, it is really, firstly, the quality of an individual who is appointed. It is not just the biggest risk to any organization is to center the organization's success or otherwise on one individual. And so what we are busy doing is strengthening the entire leadership system so that if a future commissioner, or even this current commissioner, acts improperly, that the system will not buckle. That's the institutional integrity that we are busy implementing, and it must be independent of a single individual. And then thirdly, there must be consequence more swiftly, that if a commissioner acts outside of the law or acts with impropriety, that such an individual must face the consequences a lot more swiftly than may have happened in the past.
So institutions like SARS, as per the State Capture Inquiry's report, were basically destroyed from within, either within SARS itself or within the government. Have all the bad elements, have all the bad apples been removed from SARS as we speak?
So what the recommendations directed the incoming commissioner in 2019 to do was to ensure that the senior executives who were either compliant or complicit in their contribution towards the decline of SARS, we followed a due process, and that resulted in several of those individuals parting ways with us. So that was the first step. The second was to make sure that individuals are assigned to roles for which they have competence and the right attributes, and that has been significantly achieved. And then the third was to build a clear leadership model that sets out the requirements, both the hard competencies, but also the personality and other traits and attributes that leadership of SARS ought to. And we're using that now as a standard against which future leaders will be recruited and appointed, and against which their performance and contribution will be measured, but also it will serve as a benchmark for developing any leader whom we appoint or whom we bring into the leadership roles. So it is important that we understand, whilst the recommendations appear to be a number of transactional responses, that those of us who are privileged to lead the organization stand back and develop a strategic response that improves the integrity of the entire system of governance and execution. And that's the work that is taking place. It's hard work. It obviously has to take place within the limited resources that we have, but it has to take place so that progressively, and thankfully, Tembekile, we have seen the early results of the work that we are doing in terms of a recovery of revenue performance, but also a significant resumption of the SARS modernization program. We cannot win or deliver our mandate effectively today without the use of artificial intelligence, expanding and increasing the use of data, using smart technology to interface between ourselves and then continuously also to deepen our bench strength in specific technical areas.
So given then the urgency of the hour, the President has said that we're likely, well, not likely, we are in fact going to have to wait a few more weeks, a few more months before we know what he's going to do as far as the implementation of the recommendations from this report, because he's going to wait to receive all three parts. You know about issues that pertain to SARS now. How soon do you expect to get the ball rolling on this latest set of guidelines on a way forward to repair the revenue service?
We don't have to wait on anyone, Tembekile. The mandate of SARS is very clearly expressed in law, and we are able to assess on our own merit and using information available to us whether or not an individual has transgressed any of the tax laws. Now, in addition to the recommendations by Nugent, Zondo Commission also lists quite a list of individuals and instances that requires further investigation in order for SARS to make the assessment as to whether individuals has a case to answer. We will continue to do that. We do not need any prompt by any other institution or any other office bearer in government. So we will go through the report, we will study it, and we will act in terms of our mandate. And to the extent that that brings individuals or entities under our purview, we will follow the law without fear, favor, or prejudice.
All right, final question then. Bain & Co., the company that was awarded a tender irregularly for work it was neither experienced for or that was also neither necessary to SARS at the time, now we know has come out, this has been confirmed by this report, that indeed they should not have been awarded that deal with SARS, right? Lord Peter Hain in the UK is now saying that Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, should also then, as a result of what's come out of this report, prevent Bain from getting government contracts in the UK. Do you support such international action against the company?
We've always been very clear that organizations or entities that steal from us through whatever means they may, and however they may craft it, should be prohibited from gaining any benefit from the state through its procurement system. So we fully support any action to blacklist organizations that are caught and are found wanting in this regard. As far as SARS is concerned, and specifically in relation to Bain, because our own assessment and guided by the findings of the Nugent Commission guided us to a place where we agreed that this was work that was not only was it not necessary, but also the result of this work did not strengthen but rather weakened SARS. And so we pursued the civil matter and have recovered the fees that was paid to Bain. We have also handed over our files to the investigative authorities and the National Prosecuting Authority for further consideration to indeed pursue whether Bain has a criminal charge to answer to. And we will continue to work with our investigative and prosecuting authorities to ensure that Bain and other companies like them who have benefited from the system improperly, that they are brought to book.
Kieswetter, SARS Commissioner, good to speak to you, sir. Thank you very much for your time.